What's going on, guys? So I sat down to record my reaction to the new song from Linkin Park, The Emptiness Machine, and I got caught into this whole thing that's happening with all of this. On one hand, we have people ecstatic that Linkin Park's coming out with new stuff. The new singer Emily is getting love. And on the other hand, we have people who are super upset, pissed off, completely disconnecting from the band. How could they? This is not what Chester wants. And in doing that and seeing these comments, I got down this rabbit hole of everything going on with Linkin Park, with her background with Scientology, and the whole thing going on with Danny Masterson. And then I had my opinion of that. And then after that, I saw that Chester's son posted a little thing about how he wasn't happy about it. Anyway, so this whole video is kind of my reaction that leads into a bigger conversation about everything going on with Linkin Park right now. So anyways, if you guys like this video, please make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It helps the channel out a lot. I do have a Patreon, lots of cool stuff on there. Anything that is on YouTube will be on my Patreon, but there will also be extra exclusive content on there that cannot end up on YouTube, whether it's copyright, whether it's extended reactions, breakdowns, or exclusive content specifically for Patreon. That'll all be on there. Again, it's not expected or required, but it does help the channel a lot. So if you do want to support the channel, that is a great way to do it. It's less than a cup of coffee a month, and it helps me out so much. So I appreciate the love and support you guys have been showing me there. That is amazing. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into the video. So yeah, this is Linkin Park's new song with their new vocalist. I forget her name. The new singer, Emily, if I'm not mistaken, she has her own band as well. You guys in the chat can tell me, because I don't remember. Sorry, guys. Anyways, so we're gonna listen to this new song. Before we get into it real quick, I think it's cool that Linkin Park's coming back. It's been 7 years since Chester died, right? I did see an interview with Mike, basically, you know, saying whatever move they do, they're not trying to replace Chester, right? They're trying to do this new chapter, which makes sense to me. But I'm just curious, are we gonna get, you know, I don't think we're gonna get Hybrid Theory, Me, or Linkin Park, because we haven't had that in a while. But are we gonna get like the most recent albums? Are we gonna get like in the middle where it's like Minutes to Midnight? You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought Minutes to Midnight wasn't that bad of a album. It was fine. The thing is, when it came out, right, my appreciation for music was different than it is now. Shit, that was a long time ago. So like, I appreciate it more now than I did back then. Minutes to Midnight is where I kind of fell off the train until I came back about a year or two before he died. I understand the disdain for that album, you know, but yeah, they went from like metal to like kind of pop rock to straight up pop with rock tunes mixed in. But like, one of their best songs is one from their later albums, and that's Given Up. And that's like the Chester, like, have you heard Chester Bennington? If you haven't heard of him, that's what people show because of that 17-second scream, right, with change in tonality. We've covered that on the channel, but I'll give you my full like thoughts on the replacement, or the new singer and the whole new direction they're going after I hear the song, because I'll have more context. So this is the Emptiness Machine official music video by Linkin Park. So I'm excited and I'm nervous, right? You guys know Linkin Park was a big part of my life. So anyways, let's go ahead, listen to it.
Your blades are sharpened with precision.
They have a new drummer too, right?
Flashing your favorite point of view. I know you're waiting in the distance, just like you always do, just like you always do. Already pulling me in, already under my skin, and I know exactly how this ends. I let you cut me open just to watch me bleed. Gave up who I am for who you wanted me to be.
Okay, I want to talk about, first of all, so far it's sounding more like their newer stuff, but we're only 40 seconds in. I want to talk about the lyrics, so let's go back, because it could be a relationship, but it also could be kind of what's been going on the last 7 years with the mixed signals, or I guess the mixed reviews from fans, right, as to whether the band should move on, Mike in general, like how he's tried to move on from the death and all that stuff. Been a lot of hate and a lot of love too.
Watching your favorite point of view. I know you're waiting in the distance.
Right? Waiting in the distance. In the distance, we're all, behind our computers at our keyboard. We're all keyboard warriors at a distance trying to judge this band, trying to judge him.
Just like you always do. Just like you always do. Already pulling me in. Already under my skin. And I know.
Already pulling me in, already under my skin, right? Already getting on his nerves, already affecting him in a negative way.
Pulling me in, already under my skin, and I know exactly how this ends. I let you cut me open just to watch me bleed. Gave up who I am for who you wanted me to be. Don't know why I'm home.
Gave up who I am for who you wanted me to be. That's a little bit of a line there. I think we all suffer from that sometimes where we're like, for me, I'm very much a people person in terms of a people pleaser, excuse me. So sometimes I might like compromise a little bit who I am for the happiness of others. I'm very much so like that, specifically like with my close family, like my wife and my kids, right? I will give up a part of myself to allow them to be happy, even if it means there's a little bit of unhappiness on my end from it. That's kind of what he's talking about. And I think he does that with the fans, right? Like he wants them to be happy, so he might compromise kind of like what he wants to do with the music in terms of, what direction, what genre, what just things of his art is not fully controlled by him. It's controlled by what he thinks the audience might want. And that's why he's painting here. He's painting, that's his art. He's using a different form of art as a metaphor for his form of art. And it was like a demon on the thing, right?
Who you wanted me to be. Don't know why I'm hoping for what I won't receive.
And that's creepy.
Falling for the promise of the emptiness machine. The emptiness machine.
There we go. Okay. That's the drummer, right? I like it. Okay, so I think the thing that works so well with Chester and Mike and their vocals was how Mike kind of has the low to mid range in terms of his sound, and Chester had the mid to high range, and he had that grit, and he had that, the guttural kind of screams. I feel like she hits that very well. Again, we're not comparing the two because nobody really can do what Chester does, but she has that particular sound that matches really well with the band and with Mike. I'm really liking this. I think if this is the kind of stuff they're gonna make, right, kind of like the Minutes to Midnight type of vibe where they're in between the Hybrid Theory and the newer stuff that they've done. I think if they do stuff like this, it'll work well, man. Like it's a new chapter, right? It's moving on from what Chester and them did, keeping that legacy alive, but also going into this new chapter. AC/DC did this. Everybody was, when Bon Scott died, they're like, oh, the band's done. What are they going to do? And the new singer killed it. And now he's like the staple of the band now. So like these things can happen where an important member of a band dies and the band can move on and be something else, but still be pretty similar and stay true to who they were, right? And I think she sounds great. Let's finish the song because I have some other stuff I want to talk about.
Been decided how we lose, 'cause there's a fire under the altar. I keep on lying to, I keep on lying to, already pulling me in, already under my skin, and I know exactly how this ends. I let you cut me open just to watch me burn. Gave up who I am.
Screams start in chest voice and they like resonate almost up to head voice, which is kind of a staple of what Chester used to do, right? But again, I'm not trying to treat her as a replacement because she's not, but that is a sound, the sound of Linkin Park that works. And they're kind of, there's a lot of mix of old and new is basically what I'm trying to say here, right? They're keeping true to the Linkin Park sound, but they also have some new elements, right? And I think that's why a female singer works so well, is because she hits those high ranges really well.
I only wanted to be born. Let you cut me open just to watch me burn. Gave up who I am for who you wanted me to be. Don't know why I'm open, so fucking naive. Falling for the promise of the emptiness machine. The emptiness machine. The emptiness machine. The emptiness machine.
I saw a lot of people upset, and I understand being upset if you're still not over Chester being gone, right? And people are going to take their own time to get through it and all that stuff. And I understand that Linkin Park will never ever be the Linkin Park of old with him gone. But I think it's unfair to the band to say you guys should just disband and make a whole new band, right? Like I said, let the legacy live on through their new stuff. It's not really a hard concept to grasp, I feel like. You know, like I don't understand it. Have you heard their live stuff yet? I have not. I have not heard their live stuff yet. Is it like, do they do this new stuff or is it just the old stuff? Because I have not heard it yet. They do this song and all the old stuff. I mean, I'm down to listen to it. Anyway, is it on their channel? Let me look. She did not do a very good job for the live stuff. I feel like she can't hit Chester's notes well. I feel like it was a live stream. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think anybody can hit a lot of Chester's notes. So like to assume that she can or that she will, I think is doing a little bit of an injustice. I see here. What it's songs, the Emptiness Machine. So they start with the new one, then Somewhere I Belong, Crawling, Lying from You, Catalyst, Waiting for the M, Numb. I mean, they do their most popular songs, it sounds like. What song in particular are you saying that she didn't sound very good? I don't want to watch this whole thing right now, is what I'm trying to say. Like, should I listen to that song? Like, is she not bad? Is she not? Listen to Waiting for the End. Her voice cracked and she stopped singing for a second. Okay. All right. Let's check this out, and then I will see what I think about it.
Holding on to something as invisible there. I'm living at the mercy of pain and fear. But to forget it, let it all disappear. Waiting for the end to come. Wishing I had strength to stand. It's out of my control. Flying at the speed of light. My head. So many things were left unsaid. It's hard to let you go.
So I'll say right off the bat that whoever mixed this did not do the band justice. I'll say that right. Just listening from this first minute, it does, the mix leaves a lot to be desired, especially for a band that's been doing this for 30, almost 30 years now. Like, nothing's blending well. You can barely hear the guitar. The drums seem so condensed that you could barely hear it resonate. Her vocals are too low in the mix. Like, there's a lot going on with this that I don't like, and it has nothing to do with the band. I will say that these low notes are a little bit low for her, but it's not like she's sounds bad. It's just, you can tell it's not necessarily in her range, which is fine.
It's hard to let you go. I know what it takes to move on. I know how it feels to lie. All I wanna do is trade this life for something new. Holding on to what I haven't got. Sitting in an empty room.
She sounds good. I don't.
Forget the past.
Was it just that beginning?
This was never meant to last. I wish it wasn't.
Oh yeah. See, she's getting emotional. I feel like the band probably warned her, like, this is not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to feel a certain way about this, because Chester is deep and dear to a lot of people, right? And I think the fact that, from what I can see, the band's welcoming her with open arms, but even the fans are like welcoming her. It's an emotional thing. It's a lot different being in a studio with like 10 or 15 people and recording these songs and practicing them. It's a whole other thing to do it in a live setting. Your adrenaline's pumping. There's emotions that come up. So I don't fault her for that at all. Yeah. I mean, I get it, man. Like, this is big. Imagine, like, growing up, you listen to this band, you idolize the band, but even if you like, you understand why the band's good and you respect them and their talent, and 20, 30 years later, it's like, hey, you want to sing for us? You know, the emotional aspect of that. I don't fault her again for being emotional and kind of breaking down a little bit in this song.
Starting again. Go!
So far, she doesn't sound bad. She just got emotional. I don't see it, dude. Like, oops, where's it at? It started like 22 somewhere right here. Is it like right at the beginning or something? Because I mean, that scream at the end wasn't perfect. It was pitchy, but she's emotional. Like, here's the thing, and a lot of you Linkin Park fans are gonna get at me. No, that was it. That's what I was talking about. Here's the thing. People put, and this happens when somebody dies, so bear with me for a second while I explain myself, right? Kurt Cobain, a lot of people thought he was an okay singer. He dies as time goes by. He's a legend, you know, changed the grunge game, what have you. Jimi Hendrix, again, great guitarist. He actually did change the concept of playing guitar and the showmanship and kind of the raw grittiness of playing guitar. But he dies and he becomes even more of a legend, right? Chester was already loved by Linkin Park fans and by musicians alike, but the general fan of Linkin Park could take him or leave him. He dies. Now millions and millions more people all of a sudden, oh, he's one of the greatest singers of all time. Now, I have always thought he was a great singer. I've always thought he was unique, legendary. There's a lot of fans that are like that. But if you watch his live stuff, especially later on, it's very pitchy also. But nobody talks about it because, oh, well, he has a pedigree. He's always been this great singer and blah, 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 right? Again, this isn't hate on Chester Day. I love the dude. He's an amazing singer. He's one of the best rock singers ever. But he's also human, guys. Like, not being pitchy is gonna happen. Linkin Park does not pitch correct or you know, put effects on their live shows. A lot of bands do. Adele does it. A lot of these pop singers do have pitch correction going on during the live concert so they can hit those notes and sound perfect. Linkin Park doesn't do that. And they're not doing it here either. So to say that, oh, she's pitchy, so was Chester a lot of the time, actually. If you go back and watch their live stuff and you listen to some of it, he's very pitchy, especially when he's getting emotional in his screams, just like she was getting emotional. So, like, chill out with that. Have you heard what's going on with her and the outrage between her ties with Scientology and the Danny Matt? What are you talking about? She has ties with Scientology. Her parents are big Scientologist people and she was born into it. Okay. Am I missing something? Like, there's a lot of musicians that I love their music that I don't necessarily think they're a good person. That's been a thing for me to try and separate the person from the artist. Obviously, when it's really bad, then it's like, it's kind of hard, but I've always been like that. And just because somebody is a Scientologist doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. Usually it does, but it doesn't always. She debunked that already. She made a statement. Apparently I'm out of the loop on what's happening. Let me try and find something here. Hold on. Emily Armstrong. So she said, hi, I'm Emily. I'm new to so many of you and wanted to clear the air about something that happened a while back. Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance and went to one hearing as an observer. Soon after, I realized I shouldn't have. I always try to see good in people and I misjudged them. I've never spoken with him since. Unimaginable details emerged. He was later found guilty. To say it clearly as possible, I do not condone abuse or violence against women and empathize with the victims of these crimes. I mean, that sounds pretty straightforward to me. Like, I understand, don't take what people say, but like, what else do you want her to do? So like, yes, I'm a horrible person. Like, I don't know, man. Like these things, people get out of control when they're uncomfortable with Chester being gone and the band moving on. So they're trying to like dig into people and find stuff on them. She was actually harassing the victims even after they talked about all of the crimes he committed. Do we have proof of that? If that's the case, that's wild. That is wild if that's the case. That's a huge accusation. So if you guys can find it, send it to me and we'll look at it. But that's a huge accusation. And that's wild if it's true. Scientology is against psychiatry, and for them to put her on a band of a singer who was not only abused but also had mental health issues seems like spitting in his face. I get what you're saying, right? Like, Scientology is against psychiatry. They think natural remedies. A lot of them believe that mental health is not a real thing, and I understand that. But just like there's people who are Catholic or Christian who believe everything, right, that the Bible says, there's also people who question those things and don't follow every single moral. Life's not all or nothing, guys, right? Like, do we know that she's against psychiatry? And here's the other thing. Our opinions, as much as people feel they're entitled because they've supported the band all these years, don't mean shit. My opinion on what the band does moving forward doesn't matter. So when I see people on Instagram saying, I can't believe they replaced him. I was a big fan, but I'm no longer a fan. It's like, great. You posting that means nothing to anybody. That's the thing about social media. Everybody thinks people either post things because they want attention or things like that because they want attention, or because they want everybody to conform to their opinion. Those are the only two reasons people will post something, right? I'll even compromise a bit and be like, it's fine to post something like, I don't agree with this because I don't think the band should move on, but I understand if others do, and that's totally fine. You voiced your opinion, but you respect the other side of things and move on, right? That comment is fine. Also useless, but that comment is fine. But this whole thing about social media, like people airing out their opinions, I think is absolutely stupid, right? Like, and that's, I know it's kind of hypocritical coming from me where I can literally come on here to voice my opinions about music, but like, this band's been around for 30 years. They're one of the highest selling artists ever. Mike is one of the probably the better songwriters of our generation, of my generation. I think he knows what he's doing, right? And to question the band and what they want to do, Chester's son made a statement on his Instagram story about Emily. I mean, is it good or is it bad? It's bad. All right, let me look for this. There's an article where that has the screenshots of Chester's son's statement and Mars Volta's singer statement. I don't know who the Mars Volta singer is, but I think I found it. Okay. I'm gonna save the picture so you guys don't see freaking ads. So here, people aren't having a difficult time wrapping their head around the prospect of Linkin Park reinventing itself. They're having a hard time wrapping their head around how you, one, hired your friend of many years, Emily Armstrong, to replace Chester, knowing Emily's history in the church and her history as an ally to Danny Masterson is what it is. Two, quietly erased my father's life and legacy in real time, not only during a band interview meant to clear the air about certain aspects of Linkin Park's history and future, but during International Suicide Prevention Month. Three, have refused to acknowledge the impact of hiring someone like Emily without as much as clarifying a statement on the variety of victims that make up your core fan base. No acknowledgement of the way you groom your fan base, Chester's kids or family, my falling out with your wife, Anna Shinoda, who cannot be mentioned either, Danny Masterson's victims, or even Emily's intimidation of those victims. And the list goes on and on and on. Let me read this other one. What you've done is not something for people to acclimate to. It's not a shock that people are just going to have to take process and understand. You have betrayed the trust loaned to you by decades of fans and supporting human beings, including myself. We trust you to be the bigger, better person, to be the change because you promised us that was your intention. Now you're just senile and tone deaf. Insane. At this point, I would wager that all you LP guys know is disrespect. You didn't trick me. I heard you slip at the end of your Zane Lowe interview. This album has been in the works since at least 2019, possibly 2017. I know your pattern and I saw what you did. Okay. I'm gonna try and be very like middle of the road here because there's a lot of inner workings we don't know. We're not in Mike's head. We're not there on the behind the scenes. I know that there was an issue with Rob since like 2017 wanting out, which falls in line with what was just said there. And I know people grieve differently. So Rob maybe doesn't want the band to move on without Chester. The rest of the band does. So it's like no hard feelings, but I can't do it type of thing. You know, look, I couldn't imagine me being gone and my kids having to live with the fact that I am no longer around and that I took my life because I wasn't happy, right? I think people grieve differently. I'm sure, you know, I have 3 kids. One of the kids would probably move on pretty quickly, have my memory, of course, and be sad, but move on pretty quickly. One of them would not understand and would probably be hurt for a long time, right? Everybody grieves in a different way. I think Chester's son might be one of those that, and I'm not judging him before people get at me, but I think he might be a little bit like still heartbroken and he's just trying to find somebody to blame, right? He can't blame his dad because he's gone. As much as mental health and the S word, since I can't say it on YouTube, is an issue, and you know, depression is evil. It rewires your brain to think your family would be better off and, you know, all that. But my point is he can't blame him because he's gone. So now you got to find other people to blame, right? And I'm sure that not all of this is completely untrue either, right? So there was rumblings after Chester died that Mike was kind of not being so like hurt over it, but more worried about the band and moving on with the band and how they were going to do that. I chalked it up as to like when some people get depressed and stuff, they want to focus on their work, and that's what he was doing. Because I've seen him talk, you know, amazing words for Chester in all these interviews afterwards, and literally spent like 2-hour interviews just talking about Chester. Like the dude was never ever disrespectful on camera. What happens in the inner workings in his private life, I don't know. But I also read Chester's wife signed off on Emily being the singer, but now the son is coming out and saying this wild stuff. I don't know, right? And people are going to be like, look, even his son doesn't like it. It's like there's so much nuance to this, right? And look, the whole thing about, well, it was the second part of this, but basically saying like the fans, you owe the fans or whatever. I don't follow that belief. I don't. People are like, it's because of the fans that they're so popular. It's actually because of the music they wrote and how they resonated with people, actually, right? Like this entitlement thing needs to go away. Yes, the fans play a part. They don't buy the albums. They don't listen to them. They're not big, but that won't happen without the music being there. Right? So like this whole entitlement thing needs to stop, first of all. Second of all, if all of this is true, then there's a lot for them to account for. I don't think she needs to go away. I do think accountability needs to happen on all forces here, from Mike, from Emily, right? Like I'm a firm believer that people can change, right? And I think this whole cancel culture right now of people saying things or supporting bad people, right? But we never really talk about the people who are murdering, right? All these things. Like there's so many worse people out there that nobody talks about, but then these low-hanging fruit people like Emily here who get murdered and crucified. I'm a firm believer people can change. Let's see what happens from here, right? I will always support Linkin Park in terms of their legacy. I don't know how I feel though about the Danny Masterson thing, if it's true. Okay, like people I'm seeing here in comment sections, like people saying like Ashton Kutcher, they stopped liking him because of his support for Danny. Doesn't Ashton like run a sanctuary for like abused kids? Like he has his own foundation. I have to look because I'm pretty sure that's true. We defend children from sexual abuse. Yeah, Thorn. Literally, he has one for sexual abuse. An organization that defends kids from abuse. Yet people are like, oh, he helped this groomer. It's like, do you realize how close people can be and you not know what's going on in their personal life? How many times have you guys heard like a wife husband thing and one of them ends up being a mass murderer and the other person doesn't know? These things happen. People are able to live double lives, especially in Hollywood. So like people need to relax. Okay, I understand this is big. Everybody wants to be outraged. Everybody like sees an article, sees people react and they run with it. These things are so nuanced. We don't know a lot of things. Okay, so yes, keep an eye on it. If it ends up being that everything that was said by Chester's son is true, then now we have something else to talk about. But for the moment being, I'm not gonna say I don't see anything wrong with it, but we need more info, right? And this isn't me like being an apologist for somebody. I really do think people need to relax on this cancel culture thing. Seriously, like it's immediately somebody does something or they find something from 10 years ago with no other like repeat offense of that. Oh, this person's a bad person. Right? Honestly, like it's exhausting. But back to the original matter, I think the new sound is great. I did not expect to go down this rabbit hole. I think if they keep up with the sound, it could be really cool. Be a really cool new chapter of Linkin Park. Will it be the same as they were with Chester? Absolutely not. But I don't think that's what they're going for. They're going for a new chapter in the Linkin Park story, right? This is the New Testament. We're gonna go biblical, right? So like it's one of those things that I think people need to realize is like it's not like Chester did not make the band. Mike was a big part of the band. They have other band members. Yes, Chester was the forefront. Chester was probably the most like well known for his absolute talent and emotion he brings to it. But one person does not a band make. right? So that's my take on it. Pay attention to see what's going to happen with Emily Armstrong here. I don't think that she did all these things and the band didn't know. So either she didn't do some of these things, or she did do them. The band knew. They had a discussion with her. She said she's changed. They believed her and all that. Or the worst case scenario is they knew, they didn't care. They said, fuck it, let's just go ahead with it, right? So those are like the three options here that we need to watch out for, because those could determine what's going to happen with the fan base. Again, I'm a firm believer of separating the artist from the person when it's possible. I think that's like, here's the thing. If all of this is true, except for her actually harassing the victims in court after she knew all of these horrible things that Danny Masterson did, I'm fine with it, with her staying. If she harassed the victims, if that part is true, that's where I'm going to draw the line. I think that's where I'm going to draw the line. Like, harassing abused victims in a courtroom or outside of the courtroom, knowing full well what happened to them, like, that's atrocious. So like, that's where my line is. And I think we need to draw a line somewhere of like where we can tolerate things. We all make mistakes. She can't necessarily help that she's born into Scientology, especially with how horrific they are to people who try to get out. Like, I don't know if you saw Leah Remini's documentary, TV show, whatever. She talks about it, and it is brutal. They literally try to ruin you, ruin your career, ruin your reputation. They do everything to make sure you don't talk. I understand if that fear leads somebody to stay, right? So that's a whole nother thing. But anyways, this was a tangent. I did not expect to go for a reaction. We're 40 minutes in. I'm going to cut recording, but I think this is a discussion we can maybe come back to when we know more. There's a lot going on here, and I think people's nostalgia are getting the better of them. So anyways, if you liked this discussion, you like this reaction, please make sure you like this, subscribe, hit that notification bell on my channel. That really helps the algorithm a lot. I appreciate the love and support. And please do remember that good vibes are contagious.